I'd like to explain clearly enough that you could consider it a proof that our mind works in a first-person reality instead of a second-person reality. What I mean is that in the first-person reality, I am everywhere. I am a universal consciousness that is made up of everything around me. In the second person point of view, which is the standard scientific posture, each of us has a brain that independently processes logically and with agility our perceptions and interprets the real world for each of us and lets us experience life that way as an individual. In the second person point of view, our brain has to take everything we see, such as this grapefruit, for example, and first copy or render it effectively inside of our brain as a three-dimensional experience that is tangible to what we would call our consciousness or ourselves. In that respect, our mind is like a camera. If I imagine this camera gazing out at the real world, and if I hold in front of it a grapefruit, it is making a copy inside it of the camera among its electrical circuitry. And then, to further that analogy, my brain would have to take that two-dimensional image and convert it into a three-dimensional interpretation, which is a vivid rendering in my experience. That has to apply to anything that I hold in my hand at any viewing angle, at any distance, and with any background scenery that happens to be in the outside world, along with something I'm trying to hold in my hand and understand. Not only that, my brain has to think of what to say and listen to itself speaking as it manipulates a stream of air forced out my mouth by controlling my breathing, articulating that stream of air with my tongue so that phonics are strung into words and into sentences that make sense and that can be used in any context to describe how, in this case, how my mind is working, what my mind has to be doing in order to function the way it does. Whereas in the first person point of view, there is no need to make a copy or to perceive the outside world for my consciousness to have a tangible experience with reality, with the real world. In the first person point of view, I am everywhere, and the things that I see and the scenery around me in its original state is myself, is my ability to logically understand the real world. And there doesn't need to be a copy made inside my brain, which I think is clearly too demonstrative a task and is an unreasonable expectation for a small mechanical box this big to have to do all day long.